Stories from the Tall Tales Club. Episode 4, The Halloween Ghost Rider by Joe Potts.
Since Halloween is sneaking up on us on its little black cat feet, Lady Jane, I believe you have a suitable tale to tell us. A tale you briefly hinted at to me long ago. Something to send shivers down the spine, shall we say?
You know me perhaps a bit too well, Pascal, my friend. But my days are mostly more mundane than you imagine. I wouldn't want to bore this illustrious assemblage of the Fourth Avenue Club for Travelers and Storytellers.
We rarely use the formal name of our club. Most of us simply called it the Tall Tales Club. Some members, though, were known to treat the truth perhaps too casually. This inevitably led to the occasional outside wag calling it the Liars Club.
Come, Lady Jane. Late October is the most delicious time of year. The human psyche is never more open to being entertained by stories from beyond the realm of our understanding. Witches, ghosts, goblins, and apparitions of all manner.
Professor, I'm sure you're right, as you often are as a man of science. But I'm a straight and narrow gal, down to earth, feet on the ground. That's me.
I am sure that is a marvelous description of your personality, but I recall a certain incident of years gone by that you have at times alluded to, a time when you were much younger, a time when you encountered, shall we say, an eerie phantom, and a time when you yourself visited the famous, or shall we say infamous, Sleepy Hollow.
Ho, 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 ho. Sleepy Hollow. That would suit Halloween as perfectly as elves and reindeer suit Christmas.
For our founder, leader, and elf-in-residence Colonel Nicholas Krinkle, a reference to Christmas was never far away. We often fondly referred to him as our very own Saint Nick. No one could mistake this for the Christmas season, though. The heavy aroma of pumpkin spice hung in the air, like the aftermath of a fire at a pie-filling factory that was extinguished with aftershave. Personally, I can't tolerate that witch's brew. I ordered a premium French vanilla latte and hoped the orange scones would arrive soon.
Do you mean to say, Lady Jane, that it's within your power to regale us with a chilling Halloween tale from the legendary Sleepy Hollow? There are more than a few legends from that mysterious land, you know, concerning more than headless horsemen.
All I know is what I saw many years ago as a young lady. I hesitate to call it chilling, but I am also hard-pressed to rationally explain it.
Come, my dear lady, you must tell us. You can't dangle that morsel in front of us and leave us hungering for your tale. Unleash your Halloween goblins on us, and we will decide if they are chilling.
Very well. As Mr. Beaumont said, this was some years ago. I was still in high school, in fact. My father, you see, owned a well-respected horse farm in North Carolina. It had been in the family for generations, and many champion horses hailed from the Ashley Acres stables.
I believe you have told me, Lady Jane, that you acquired your love of animals from being raised there. Not only horses, but all of God's creatures.
That's true, Pascal. At times I felt like I was living in a zoo. We always had dogs, cats, rabbits, and the occasional ferret or raccoon.
Ha ha ha! So we're learning some secrets today of the mysterious Lady Jane.
I assure you, I'm not that interesting. Certainly, much less so than the illustrious Professor Moriarty, a beacon of brilliance in the baffling world of physics.
A At least your story will be grounded in truth and reality, unlike the bilge that we have been forced to listen to from Professor Poppycock.
Please, you know I prefer Dr. Moriarty. But see here, Beaumont, that was uncalled for. My tale was scientifically grounded.
Sadly, your tale wasn't grounded before it took off and crashed in a heap of ashes.
I appreciate your support, Pascal.
I don't appreciate him at all.
But please let me continue. My father, who was well known in equestrian circles, thought it would be a good experience for me to accompany him on a business trip. It was late October, and he was to visit a prominent horse farm owned by a distant cousin in New York State, near Tarrytown. Both stables had raised champion thoroughbreds, and my father was keen to explore the possibility of a close cooperation between the two.
I'm familiar with that area. It's where Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow takes place. You know, Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman.
Yes, I know it all too well, as you shall see. Anyway, my older cousin Melissa from Ohio was visiting my family, so father received his sister's permission to take her along. I was happy to have her, as we always got along well. Being all of 20, she could sort of look out for me. Not that I needed it, of course. The owner of the Tarrytown stable was Mr. Bentley, whom I had never met, though he was, as I said, father's distant cousin. He assigned his son Tyler to escort us girls and show us around the property. He was about Melissa's age, and we all hit it off beautifully. Tyler was polite and attentive, and took his role as host seriously. Melissa and I stayed in a lovely guest bedroom. The morning after our arrival, though, brought about some troubling revelations.
Good morning, ladies. Breakfast should be ready soon. We have some authentic New York bagels today to go with our omelets. Have you had New York bagels?
Never. I'll certainly give them a try. Melissa, have you?
No, but I've had English muffins. Aren't they similar?
No, not really. You're in for a treat.
Do you have any grits to go with them?
I'm afraid not. Actually, I've never had grits.
You've never had grits? Honey child, you must come visit us sometime.
I'd like that. So did you two sleep well?
I'll tell you, I was in absolute sleepy town. Didn't move all night. How about you guys?
Oh, I always sleep well. Totally zonked out. Jane?
To be honest, I've slept better. I had a crazy dream.
Ooh, tell us. I love crazy dreams. I have 3 or 4 a week.
Yes, tell us, Jane.
I'm sure you aren't really interested in my silly old dream.
Miss Jane, I can tell you're a very intelligent young lady, but in this case, you're wrong. I'm extremely interested. Dreams can be a fascinating window to the soul. Please tell us. I'm sure I won't be able to finish my breakfast until you've mesmerized us with your dream.
Why, Mr. Tyler Bentley, you're a scamp, aren't you?
Just call me Ty. Everyone does.
Very well, Ty. And I don't think this particular dream illuminates my soul. Or at least I hope not. You see, a man on a horse was chasing me. No matter what I did, he was right behind me, following, watching, gesturing. He seemed to be trying to get my attention.
Well, if he looked like some of the pony jockeys I've seen around here, he wouldn't have any trouble getting my attention. But really, Jane, you've probably been thinking too much about Sleepy Hollow and the Headless Horseman.
This horseman definitely had a head. I couldn't see him very well, though. He was kind of... Don't laugh. He and the horse were pale and, well, ghostly. You could sort of see through them, like in a way they weren't really there.
Well, if they weren't there, then don't worry about them. That spooky old legend's just playing with your mind.
I'll tell you, Melissa, A lot of people around here take those legends seriously. I know I do. Listen, over the years, many people have said they've seen such a horse and rider. I don't mean in a dream, though. I mean at night. In the flesh. In the hollow. Well, not exactly flesh, I guess. They say they look ghostly, like apparitions, like you described in your dream.
That sounds very Sleepy Hollow-ish. Maybe the locals let the legends get to them too much.
I wouldn't say it's a legend, not really. I mean, Washington Irving's story was just fiction, of course. But a ghostly rider? Too many people have seen him. We don't talk about it much, but he's definitely out there. We all know it here in Terrytown.
Are you serious? Listen, there's no such thing as ghosts, and there aren't any ghost horsemen, headless or otherwise, in Sleepy Hollow. Just like there's no Dracula or Wolfman. And if that's not the truth, then I don't know truth.
Would you like to find out for yourself? We could take a little nocturnal excursion to Sleepy Hollow tonight. It's Halloween, the perfect night for it, and a full moon to boot. How about you, Jane? Care to meet your dream apparition in person?
I don't know that Father would approve.
I'll talk to him to make sure, Jane. And I'll bring one of the stable's finest guard dogs for protection. Tell her, Melissa. It'll be a blast.
I think you're right. It will be, won't it? I'm definitely in. Come on, Jane. We may never have this chance again. It could be fun. You're not afraid, are you?
No, of course not. You know, my daddy always said I was a plucky, spirited sort. So, okay, yes. I suppose it might be fun.
Great. I'll organize everything, even some snacks and Halloween treats for us. After breakfast, I'll have to take you to the study. I want to show you the portraits through the years of the Bentley family and the magnificent steeds we've produced. The Jenkins family, who have been grooms here forever, are also well represented, dating back to before Washington Irving's time. Come on, let's go into the dining room. Breakfast should be ready by now.
I had no idea, Lady Jane, that your family was so esteemed in the equestrian field.
We don't believe in blowing our own bugle. A private life should be kept private. Don't you agree?
As always, Lady Jane, you are the epitome of class.
Truer words have rarely been spoken, at least not here. But tell us, madam, surely you didn't venture into the Sleepy Hollow on Halloween night? Such heroism.
Well, Colonel, I'm not sure if we were heroes or fools, but we did exactly as you said. Tyler drove us to the supposed site of the Washington Irving story. This was also where there were reports by locals through the years of a ghostly horseman. We then went on foot into a glade with scattered shrubs surrounded by woods. It was just after dusk. Ty led the way with Melissa and me close, and I do mean close, behind.
As far as anyone can determine, this is about the place where the legends began. Looks spooky enough, doesn't it? The moon, the shadows, the clouds drifting by like even they don't want to be here.
I'm not sure I want to be here. Who said this was going to be fun?
That would be you.
Don't worry, ladies. Seabiscuit will guard us.
That's a racehorse's name, and not a dog's name.
At Bentley Stables, it's a dog name.
Brr! I just had a shiver. Geez, it wouldn't be this chilly on Halloween night in North Carolina.
It's always colder when ghosts are around.
Says who? And who says ghosts are around?
You did! In your dream! And Ty said they're out here all the time. Didn't you, Ty?
That's not what I said. Listen, what's that?
What's what? I don't hear anything. Oh, wait. Yes, something faint and far off.
Easy, Seabiscuit.
I hear it too. Like drums.
Not drums, hooves. It's still a ways off, but that sounds like a horse trotting. And slowly getting closer, I think.
Who would be riding a horse in the dark out here?
Well, obviously a horseman, and we're in Sleepy Hollow, so he's probably headless.
Relax, Melissa. There are no headless horsemen around here, or anywhere else for that matter. Anyone could be taking a little ride.
Or it could be the ghost rider you say people see. We came out here to meet him, right? Maybe he wants to meet us. To chase us away.
Let's not jump to conclusions, Melissa.
Jane, that's very level-headed of you.
My daddy always says that about me.
Well, your father isn't here, and he can't hear that horse. Why is it coming closer to us?
I'm sure it's just someone out for a ride. I imagine they have no idea we're here.
Ty, look! What is that?
It's a horse and rider coming this way.
It's like it's glowing. It's a ghost!
Calm down, Melissa.
Look at the rider. He's dressed like it's colonial times.
Ty, is that some sort of Halloween thing around here? To dress like a colonial ghost?
Believe me, Jane, I've never seen anything like that.
Look, he stopped. He's looking right at us.
Ty, this is just like my dream.
He's motioning to us. He wants us to follow him.
I might be scared, but I'm not crazy. There's no way I'm following that apparition or whatever it is.
I knew Lady Jane would be serving up a Halloween doozy. The horse reminds me of Rudolph when he's covered in snow.
Believe me, Colonel, Rudolph was the furthest thing from my mind. I felt quite shaken.
The mind is a strange thing. It can be easily influenced by the power of suggestion. The time, the place, Tyler's statements regarding previous sightings of a rider. Your extreme reaction is understandable, but science is not influenced by such things. I'm afraid you were just overreacting to the stimuli around you.
Balderdash, Professor, you weren't there. I have been friends with Lady Jane for many years. She is as rational as they come, and I might add, forthright and honest.
No doubt. Still, our reactions can be extreme in extreme circumstances. We can't help being human.
I understand your misgivings, Professor Moriarty. Please let me continue and then judge for yourself.
Get behind me. Let's back out of here slowly.
Right behind you.
Wait, maybe he needs us to help him do something.
He's rearing up his horse.
Ah!
Get back! Get back! Seabiscuit, stay!
Ah! Melissa, are you okay? Ty, help her.
I've got her. She just fainted. She'll be fine, I'm sure.
Ty, the rider's motioning again for me to follow. I have to help him. Stay with Melissa while I follow him.
Jane, no! You don't know what he's up to.
I've got to go, Ty. I'm not afraid. I'll stay at a distance from him.
Well, all right. Seabiscuit, go with Jane. He'll watch out for you. He's as brave as they come.
Okay, Ty. Come on, Seabiscuit, let's go. Look, Seabiscuit. He's heading up that slight rise. We'll follow at a distance. I told Ty I'm not afraid. I guess that's not quite true. But my daddy always told me not to ever let fear run my life. He told me to carry on regardless of the fear. But don't you be afraid, boy. I'm here for you. That's some fancy bridle on that ghost horse. He's gussied up better than the rider, I'd say, wouldn't you? My Seabiscuit, they plumb disappeared over the top of the hill. Well, let's see what's over there. My daddy told me to always see what's over the top of the hill. And here they are, right in front of us. I can see the rider's face. Okay, I'm scared. But I'm staying right here. Janky Seabiscuit, don't he look sad? Like he has a powerful sorrow on him that's been eating away at him for, I don't know, years and years. He's pointing at something. He wants us to go to that thicket. Okay, Mr. Ghost Rider, I'll go. Ah! What's that? Looks like some big stone in the ground. Well, I'll be. They've moved so the light from their glowing bodies better illuminates the stone. Oh my, Seabiscuit, look! It's a tombstone! You understand, don't you? I'll tell you, Seabiscuit, Lassie's got nothing on you. That lettering on the stone's powerful hard to make out, isn't it? Can you read it, Seabiscuit? Let's see. There's a J, an E, an N, then it ends in N-S. There's a K in the middle. Seabiscuit, it says Jenkins. I think those are some dates on there. Can't make out the first. Let's see. Well, your eyes are better than mine, Seabiscuit. I see 1, 7, 1, 7, 9, 7. 1797. This tombstone is from 1797. And I can just make out the word beaver at the bottom. What's it doing way out here in the middle of nowhere? We've got to go back to the stables and talk to Mr. Bentley. I know, Seabiscuit. They're gone. Our ghostly horse and rider are gone. Well, maybe they accomplished what they came for. Maybe we were supposed to find this forsaken gravesite. It's not much of a final resting place, is it? No dignity in it, that's for sure. Let's go find Ty and tell him about it. I hope Melissa's okay.
That's quite a tale, Lady Jane. I trust Melissa returned to good health.
Yes, Professor. She was fine except for a small bump on the head when she fell. We made our way back to Bentley stables as I told Ty and Melissa what had happened. We talked to Ty's father about it. Somehow, he didn't seem terribly surprised. I suppose when you grow up in Sleepy Hollow. Anyway, he explained that there had been terrible outbreaks of yellow fever in the region in the 1790s.
Yes. I've been around a long time, you know. That sounds about right. I remember a time when fever outbreaks were so bad that even the reindeer herds were being affected. A terrible thing. A terrible thing.
Yes, I'm sure, Colonel. Anyway, the next morning we went to the study as Mr. Bentley wanted to show me the portrait of Mortimer Jenkins, the original groom of the stables in the late 1700s. Well, I'll tell you, I almost joined Melissa among the unconscious when I saw the portrait. There was Mr. Jenkins from all those years ago with a beautiful black horse. And yes, they looked like our nighttime visitors. But it was the bridle that caught my eye. It was fancy, with roses tooled into the leather, the same as I had seen on the ghost steed.
Oh, I feel a chill down my back even now, Lady Jane.
Come now, Pascal. Fancy bridles are everywhere. That proves nothing.
And if you want to prove your story about the supposed teleportation machine, use it to teleport yourself out of here. The faster, the better.
It's all right, Pascal. As we've learned over the telling of our tales, everyone has an opinion.
Thank you, Lady Jane. One thing that bothers me, though, is that everything you described could easily be faked by my friend, the astounding Watkins, the illusionist.
I have no doubt of his abilities, Professor. I'll merely remind you that just because something can be faked doesn't mean it has been faked. And we were out in the woods, not on a stage.
Excellent points, Lady Jane. And surely no one else here doubts you.
Ho, ho, ho. Indeed not.
I hope not. However, that's not quite the end of my story. Ty and I have kept in touch over the years. Partly business, partly friendship. I'm sure you can understand that Melissa Tyler and I formed a strong bond after sharing such an experience.
Yes, I understand completely. A similar bond was formed due to a strange, shared experience of mine.
Interesting. Maybe you could share that the next time we meet.
Maybe, but in the meantime, Lady Jane, please continue.
Well, let's see. Where was I? Oh, yes. I'll also include Seabiscuit in that group. Fortunately, Tyler and Mr. Bentley understood the bond that I felt with him after that evening and presented him to me as a gift. We were together for many years after that. Oh, he was a brave and loyal creature, and I treasure the time we had together.
Yes, your devotion to animals is certainly one of your admirable traits, Lady Jane.
Please, Pascal, you're embarrassing me. At any rate, after my father and I returned home, Tyler contacted me. His family saw to it that Jenkins and his family, his wife and 4 children, all yellow fever victims, were moved to the Bentley family cemetery on the stable grounds and given a proper burial. Yellow fever was much feared in those days, you understand. That's why they buried them in such a lonely place. Mr. Bentley had beautiful new grave markers made honoring them. After all, the living and the dead are all worthy of respect. And I firmly believe that includes all of God's creatures.
I'll admit, that was a touching gesture. And quite the right thing to do.
Yes, indeed. The Bentleys are fine people.
But what of the Ghost Rider? These legends die hard, you know. Have the Sleepy Hollow sightings persisted?
Although our encounter with the rider was many years ago, Tyler has told me there hasn't been a single appearance of the apparition since. I suppose his ghostly rides were no longer necessary.
That's very interesting. Still, more scientific explanations might be possible. But I sometimes wonder about those things that science struggles to explain. After all, do we really understand the nature of life and death and the transition between?
Surprising words from you, Professor.
Let's just keep it among ourselves, shall we? Anyway, I'm inclined to give you the benefit of the doubt, dear lady, and chalk up your tale to one of life's unexplainable mysteries.
I eased back into my soft, supple chair and reflected on another agreeable afternoon of tall tales, fine coffee, and gourmet pastries. Lady Jane had left us all in a contemplative mood. And what do you think, dear listener? Do we take Lady Jane's story at face value? Or was she merely having some fun on a dull day? Or are the dearly departed sometimes able to communicate across the gulf that separates us? We know that our imaginations are subject to running wild when we are influenced by strange circumstances. The power of suggestion cannot be underestimated, nor can the ability of the mind to be deceived when circumstances are right. Perhaps it's best if we focus on Lady Jane's wise words on dignity and respect for the living and the dead, and courage in the face of adversity. That was Stories from the Tall Tales Club, Episode 4, The Halloween Ghost Rider. Written by Joe Potts. Cast members in order of appearance: David Seremet as Pascal Beaumont, Peg Bryan as Lady Jane, Joe Potts as the narrator, Paul Fox as Professor James Moriarty, Scott Walton as Colonel Krinkle, Bobby Fetter as Tyler Bentley, Jess Evans as Young Jane, Lillian Kenyon as Melissa. Directed by Karrie Fetter. Produced by Thomas Marinchak. Our audio technician was Matthew Mann. Sound design by Matthew Mann and Jacob Gorsich. Music by Matthew Mann. A production of We Are One Body Audio Theater.